Greetings to all and welcome to our show. It's called Eureka, How a Woman Can Thrive at Any Age. I'm your host, Glenda Shankal, and for decades I've successfully coached thousands of women on discovering a straightforward and easy path to their very own best lives. And I can help you find your best life too. In this show, we cover the most important things in a woman's life: happy relationships and connectivity, career and money choices for your financial freedom, and also beauty and health. Guests on the show are experts in all these areas, and occasionally we'll be talking about how to transform tragedy or heartache into a personal triumph. On Eureka, we'll be covering the things that matter most. You know, as different as we women are, because of where we were born, how we grew up, or were educated, maybe in a university or maybe somewhere in the world in a village, it turns out that really we're more alike than different. So no matter where in the world you live, no matter what your lifestyle, you share with other women a longing for love and genuine connection, a need for abundance, money, and personal freedom, and a hope for relationships that work smoothly and bring you joy. And sometimes we struggle with challenges and burdens which can be hard to bear. I'm here to help you with each one of these dreams, needs, and hopes. You are not alone with your deeper questions, and on my website you'll find tools, tips, and smart action steps to help you live your best life. These are the very same tools I've been offering to my clients for decades. The website's called lovecomeseasily.com. The idea is that love should be easy to find and nourish, and it can and should successfully last a lifetime. So thank you for joining me. And now let's get started. I warmly welcome you to Eureka, How a Woman Can Thrive at Any Age. So today we're going to talk about important things that women should know about men, but which most women don't know about men. Ladies, this conversation will help you improve your relationships with every man in your life, no matter where you know him. That's the goal of the show, helping you understand men better so you can relate to them in better ways and bring out their best. Joining me today is my wonderful guest, Emerald Peaceful GreenForest. Hi, Emerald, how are you today?
Hi, Glenda. I am well and very happy to be here. Looking forward to this show.
Great. So I'm going to talk about some of your accomplishments for a sec. I know that you're an internationally known speaker, creative age leader, and transformation artist. And I know that you help visionary entrepreneurs, inspired executives, and global change agents to become crystal clear in their vision and wholeheartedly committed to their mission to massively motivate and move ahead with big ideas for changing the world. So I'm interested in all of your skill sets and accomplishments, but I'm particularly interested in hearing about how you help men rise into their best.
Oh, thank you. Great question, Glenda. So, it really starts with recognizing that men are really at the core of their being here to be in service. And oftentimes we either culturally or societally condition ourselves as women to see them incorrectly, or they themselves see themselves incorrectly. And so the work is really to strip away a lot of the social conditioning and a lot of the belief systems that have been kind of inoculated into us as humans that are really not in service and create a lot of disharmony, so that the natural tendencies and desires and gifts that each of these people, the men and also the women who love them, are here to distribute into the world, can be distributed with ease and with grace and with joy and with a sense of personal accomplishment. So the work that I do, initially, it really starts with stripping away and then really seeing what the gifts are that the men are here to bring to the world, and that are really their legacy, the gift that is meant to be their legacy. So a lot of times I work with high achieving men who have achieved a lot of worldly success. They might have made a lot of money. They might have been, very high up in corporate, I call them corner office change agents, or in some industry or field, and they've accomplished a lot, but they really feel like they haven't, at some core level, delivered everything that they came to deliver. So our work is to really help them to make that transition into living and leaving their legacy.
Well, that's very resonant languaging there. So talk to all of us about those core qualities that are so important to activate. And you're saying they're native to all men with a vision, or tell me about that.
Well, these are the kind of qualities that I see in what I call a man on purpose. So I'm actually the host of the Men on Purpose podcast. That's one of the things that I do. And the purpose of the podcast is to highlight, celebrate, and elevate and spotlight men on purpose. And so men on purpose, I see they have a variety of different qualities and characteristics. 3 basic ones that they have are clarity, meaning that they know what they want. They're called. They know that they're here to do something big. They can feel that calling within them, and they're clear that they are going to do it. They might not know exactly how to do it, but they are clear that they are going to do it. And so clarity is one of the characteristics. Commitment is a second characteristic. And so what that means is really, hearing the calling, saying yes to the calling, I'm going to do this, and then sticking with it and really being wholehearted in their devotion to bringing that calling into fruition in the world. And then I've said the word calling multiple times. So generally speaking, men on purpose are called. And I believe that every man on the planet is got the latent seeds within him to be a man on purpose. But oftentimes they're slightly off, and it's kind of like if you're going to the moon, Glenda, if you're off by 1 degree, if they line up the rocket off by 1 degree, it's not going to hit the moon. So it's a little bit of work sometimes to get people onto their purpose. So the 3 main things are they're called, they're clear that they are here to serve and they want to serve, and they are committed to stepping into that calling and doing what it takes to bring it into fruition.
Mm-hmm. I noticed that men, one of the qualities I admire most in men is their ability to focus and clear extraneous stuff out of the way. So I think women get in the way of a man's purpose, or they expect the wrong things. They confuse men or demand things that men aren't good at. So can we talk about that for a little while?
Sure. Well, women have a more highly advanced, not highly advanced, but more highly developed corpus callosum. And the corpus callosum is the bundle of nerves between the left and right sides of the brain. And so women are generally speaking, more capable of having diffuse attention spans, meaning we can attend to the child and the dirty pile of laundry and the dinner and keeping track of what's in the refrigerator and knowing what the schedule is for next Thursday and all of those things, right? And so there was a evolutionary benefit to women being able to have diffuse attention. Men have a less highly developed corpus callosum, which means that the connection between the left and the right brain are not as fluid. And so for men, their functioning, their kind of operating system is more singularly focused and more, like one thing at a time. So for example, I'll give you an example. I had 2 men in my house today delivering and installing a washer and dryer. And you give them the job to install the washer and dryer, and they will do it. They will get the job done all the way to the end. They will stay focused. They will stay on the job. They will get the job done if you're clear in what you expect and what you desire and what you want, and if you get the hell out of the way and leave them alone, right? And so one of my old patterns of behavior, Glenda, was that I used to be like that. I'd give a guy a job and then I'd stand over him, like hover.
You'd hover. Yeah, I know the hover.
And I'm so much better now because I recognize in myself the hovering thing, and I recognized how the hovering was actually disruptive to the flow, the energetic flow. The man's, focused, and then if you're hovering, it's like you're a mosquito, and he's like just getting distracted by that.
Wow. We're going to have to take a break in a second, but women should nail themselves on this problem of hovering over men, waiting to see how he's delivering on a task, following up too soon, following up too often, getting annoyed too quickly. Don't you think so?
Oh, absolutely. And thinking that we know a better way, right? So, if you say, go load the dishwasher, and he's loading it a different way than you're loading it, and you think your way is the better way, then it just really deflates their desire to serve. They just want to serve.
Wow, I love this. This is a powerful conversation. We're going to take a little break here. Stay tuned, everybody, to Eureka, How a Woman Can Thrive at Any Age, which can also be heard on xzbn.net and X Zone Broadcast Network, and also found on lovecomeseasily.com. After the break, we'll find out what we should be doing differently, women, that will activate the power of men and the men in your life. So we'll be right back in a flash, and I'm excited to bring Emerald, the expert on men and their power, back on the show for you to learn from.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X-Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan, and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember, 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365.
You have heard of the X-Zone? Now watch it on Simul TV. Plus 500 video games, live TV channels, free video on demand, worldwide, and more. Does this sound like tomorrow's television? Well, it is, but you can have it today, right now. It is Simul TV. Simul TV offers what the others only wish they could provide. 15 exclusive channels like X-Zone, sci-fi, and horror. We are worldwide. No other provider offers that. 500 built-in video games. No need to have an extra expensive system. We have them included. Free video on demand. Live streaming events from around the world. Interactive online network, and much more. Tomorrow's TV today. Simul TV. Sound too good to be true? Well, it's not. You can have Simul TV today. Sign up at simultv.com. Do it today.
Modern Esoteric, Beyond Our Senses by Brad Olson, consummates the lifeology story about where humanity originates. It is the lost continents, the primitive wisdom, the mythos of creation, and the rethinking of ancient history as we are taught in academia. There is much more to the story than what we have been told. As this is the first book in the Esoteric series, Modern Esoteric starts at the beginning of time and accelerates up to this modern age. Future Esoteric is book 2 in the series and takes a forward-looking position ahead of today with an open and honest examination of the ET issue and various unexplained phenomena. To discover the writings of author Brad Olson, visit www.bradolson.com. That's www.bradolson.com.
Welcome back. I'm Glenda Shankal, and you're listening to Eureka, which is being heard on xzbn.net and can be found on lovecomeseasily.com. Our guest today is Emerald Peaceful GreenForest, whose website is www.emeraldgreenforest.com. I'm so excited to have you talk about women and men and the way that men are in their best power, Emerald. So let's talk some more. Can you return to what we were saying about focus and men and tasking and women hovering? Can we start there?
Yeah. So what I was thinking about at the break, Glenda, is I want to come back to clarity, because at the end of the day, I spent many years actually working with women. For about a decade, I helped women feel great speaking and powerful asking for money. And then I was called to shift my focus and start working and serving men, working with and serving men. And so I want to come back to clarity because I think that this is a key for both genders, and especially for women, to know what you want. And I think that's one of the biggest challenges for women. If we know what we want, then we communicate what we want, then the men want to serve. They want to focus on delivering what we want. And so I think the big piece that I would offer any of the women who are listening in this audience, and I know your audience is primarily women, is it's your responsibility to become clear on what you want. And I'll tell a personal story, Glenda. I did not know myself that I even had permission to have wants of my own until I was 38 years old, when a friend of mine said, well, what do you want? And it never occurred to me that I had even a right to have wants. And so that alone confused all of the relationships I had with men, because they could not focus on delivering what I wanted if I didn't know what I wanted. Right. And I think that the key to helping men and women, work with one another well, is for women to take the responsibility of getting clear on exactly, specifically, and precisely, ESP, exactly, specifically, and precisely what they want. Huh.
Yeah. That's so interesting. We don't have permission. I mean, a lot of us have come into our power as we move through life, us women, but there's still that core question, what do I really want? And women have an amorphous desire to have men make them feel good or be happy. And I think that's the first mistake women make in relationships with men. Don't you think so?
Oh, I would agree with that 100%. And the truth is that no one can make you happy. Only you can make you happy. And the way you make yourself happy is by discerning what it is that you want. Wow. And when you know what you want, then you can create happiness for yourself with or without a man. And a man just adds sprinkles on top of your sundae.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so we're going in an interesting direction here. We're saying that we can create focus in all of our relationships, whether personal or professional, with men by getting clear about what we want in those relationships with men, and then giving that information to the men so they can deliver. Is that what you're suggesting?
Yes. And making sure that when we start to do the discerning about what it is that we want, we are amorphous a lot of times in identifying feelings, like the feelings that we want. And the truth is that we can cultivate those feelings in a variety of ways. So it's more important for us to be clear about the feelings we want, and then discern how we want those feelings to be generated, and then communicate that to the man. So let's say we want to feel relaxed, right?
Okay.
So what does relaxed mean? Well, to you, it might mean going for a walk in the woods. To me, it might mean getting a massage. And so you can see those are two completely different things. And how can a man know or discern what it is that you want to help you feel relaxed if you can't communicate that to him?
Mm-hmm. And then women, in my experience, lean on men to give them a feeling, but they're unclear about the feeling or how it should manifest. So then there's confusion on all levels, and everybody goes around confused. The men are confused, and they get frustrated and give up, don't they?
Well, they either get frustrated and give up, or they get frustrated and they get angry. Because in our culture, men are pretty much given one option for emotional expression. And that's another thing that I help the men on purpose that I work with on is I help them to unleash the full range of their own emotional and creative expression, which I believe we all as humans came in with the capacity to have creative expression and to experience the full range of emotions, but men have been socially conditioned to repress, to really repress. So if they don't have a full range of emotions that they have permission to express, then they revert to either, withdrawing and going into depression or getting angry, and then it gets really messy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I've seen it, and I've seen symptoms of all those things. Maybe men are angry because they can't be fully human, or there's no vehicles for expression for that or something. How can women help men be their best, reach into a better way of relating? How can women facilitate in the relationships they have? What can our listeners do?
Yeah, so the first thing is to know what you want, and to begin with very elementary steps, right? So let's say you want to feel relaxed. Just begin there and find out for yourself what that takes, and then have the courage, because courage is another mark of a man on purpose, but it's also a mark of somebody who's willing to create conscious change, right? So if you want to create conscious change, you've got to know what you want, and you've got to have the courage to go after it. Mm-hmm. So that means that you need to say, this is what I want, and communicate it, and just start experimenting. I think ultimately we need to go back to that childlike sense of wonder and experimentation and innocence, and see each other as innocent, and see each other as really desiring to be in service to each other. So for women, just start with knowing one small thing that you want, and then have the courage to get very clear on how you would like that delivered, and then express that and experiment and see what happens, right? Mm-hmm. Let's try not to, build Rome in a day. Let's do it brick by brick. And ultimately, when we take the time and the consciousness and the care, really essentially, Glenda, it's the care to craft something beautiful, then it will naturally be lasting.
That's so interesting. I think this is one of the most important things we could discuss for women and how to improve their relationships. And that's why I'm sitting with this question here. I teach a retreat called How to Get Men to Run After You. And one of my experiences with men of all ages and types and personalities and so on who have run after me is that I provide a silent, open space for them to be who they really are without a demand or an expectation or some sort of memory of the past and some mess up with some man someplace, right? Just holding space for a man and just waiting to see what he's going to bring. And then they rise into presence and fun and charm and good manners and wisdom, and they just show their best off. So can we talk about this for a second?
Sure.
Show me what you know, because I know you know this stuff too.
Yeah. So I love that you used the word presence. And part of a feminine presence, part of the art of cultivating feminine presence is cultivating your own capacity to hold space, not only for other people, but initially for yourself. Like, can you hold space for yourself? Let's start with you, because you're the only one that has any control over your own experience, with or without a man. So can you be present for yourself? And that actually requires, I think, Glenda, a lot of disarming ourselves, right? So I think that thing that we talked about at the beginning about multitasking and having our heads in a million different directions, it's a protective device. And so when we are fully present, we can have that diffuse awareness without being on guard.
Ooh. Yeah, continue.
Yeah. And I feel like when we are on guard, then the men who get near us sense our warrior and they want to go to war with us rather than, serve into our higher selves. So when we are able to cultivate presence and disarm ourselves, then we hold this beautiful open space that literally the men must show up with their full presence. They can't not show up with their full presence if we are holding our full presence.
Wow. I think this is a magnificent concept, idea. I invite and challenge listeners to really think about this section of the conversation. This is where we can rise and let men rise and have a lot of fun with men and change the way we interact with them so the world is easier to live in for everybody. We're going to take another break now. Stay tuned to Eureka, How a Woman Can Thrive at Any Age, which can also be heard on xzbn.net.
From our broadcast studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, to the world and beyond, you're watching the X-Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net.
AVS Media.
You have heard of the X-Zone? Now watch it on SimulTV, plus 500 video games, live TV channels, free video on demand, worldwide, and more. Does this sound like tomorrow's television? Well, it is, but you can have it today, right now. It is SimulTV. SimulTV offers what the others only wish they could provide. 15 exclusive channels like X-Zone, sci-fi, and horror. We are worldwide. No other provider offers that. 500 built-in video games. No need to have an extra expensive system. We have them included. Free video on demand. Live streaming events from around the world, interactive online network, and much more. Tomorrow's TV today. SimulTV. Sound too good to be true? Well, it's not. You can have SimulTV today. Sign up at simultv.com. Do it today.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X-Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365. Rob McConnell here, presenting an overview for Nicholas Paul Jennings, author of a fascinating book, Amen. It presents facts revealed by Egyptologists, facts that enable us to understand why Amen is the beginning of creation of God. It provides recommendations for religious leaders of the major religions to unify their beliefs and teach the Word of God. Love one another. Amen informs people how mankind conceived God. It was the Egyptians that developed the concepts of a soul, a hereafter, and Son of God. And finally, after the worship of many gods, they conceived the belief in one universal God, the maker of all there is. For more information, visit www.futureofgodamen.com. That's www.futureofgodamen.com.
So welcome back. I'm Glenda Shankal, and you're listening to Eureka, How a Woman Can Thrive at Any Age. Our guest tonight is Emerald Peaceful GreenForest, whose website is www.emeraldgreenforest.com. And this is a very exciting conversation. I think Emerald is well poised to show us mysteries about men that we women just really don't know about. So where would you like to jump in, Emerald, and share wisdom that we need to know so we can have dynamic, on purpose, powerful, joyful relationships with men?
Well, one of the things you said right before the break was a magic word, Glenda, and the magic word is fun. So, I think, and I'm going to tell, again, another personal story. I spent most of my life in relationships with men who were either abusive, addicted, or I felt alienated from. And as a result of that, I spent most of my life with my father, with my brothers, with my business partners, with my bosses, with boyfriends, with husbands. I have 2 husbands, and ultimately even with my own son in contentious, difficult, challenging, dangerous even relationships. And so when we were talking before about women being having to disarm themselves, who needed to disarm herself? That would be me. I needed to disarm myself. Even with all of those experiences, the work was for me to come to peace with all of those experiences, including an experience where my own son locked me in the basement and threatened to cut me up in little pieces and throw me in the river. So how I came to peace with all of that was recognizing that I was the single unifying thread in all of those relationships. And so it was my job to start to disarm myself and to start looking for and actively choosing to focus my own attention and my intention on finding men on purpose. And so that's essentially the story behind why I started my own podcast, Men on Purpose Podcast. But to get back to what you said before the break about fun, it occurred to me when you said that, we're either in fight or flight in our relationships with men lots of times. We're, either running away and saying, I don't want anything to do with you, or we're in this fighting kind of environment or dynamic where we're armed and they're armed and everybody's unhappy. And fun is where we want to focus. So you cannot be having fun and fighting at the same time. They just can't be in the same space. So another piece for women to do is to focus on fun. And that, again, starts with themselves. Like, what is fun for you? What do you want? Is it fun for you to go on a roller coaster ride? Is it fun for you to have your toenails painted? Is it fun for you to climb a tree? What's fun for you? And find the fun for you and cultivate that fun for you. And then men will naturally want to come running towards you and have fun with you because they want to have fun too.
Yeah, they're tired of working too hard. And I think women are tired of working too hard, and we all have bad memories, and we just need to let all that go. I want to talk about alignment, but I want to mention something that Gandhi said about himself years ago. He said that his life was an experiment with the truth. So that's a beautiful thought, right? That we're just going to be present. We're going to have fun. We're going to see what happens. We're going to try to be nice to each other and let the other person shine in their own way, maybe. Can we talk about alignment between men and women? How can women instinctively create an environment where men can move into an alignment with them, would you say?
So I love that question about instinctively.
Mm-hmm.
So, first, Glenda, we must disarm. We must decouple ourselves from our own fight or flight response. We live in a culture that keeps us continuously activated in fight or flight. In the business world, in the entertainment world, in the political world. I mean, the whole culture is just running on fight or flight. And people are programmed essentially to be running fight or flight mechanisms all the time. So we need to become self-aware and find our own unique path to disarming ourselves. And for me, that's spending time in nature. And it's something that I do with the men on purpose that I work with as well, is I help them to disarm by spending time in nature too. And I actually have a 3-step plan called the Man Plan, which is a great plan for men, but it can certainly also be used for women. And the 3 steps are movement, because we also stay stuck because we're not moving. We're not moving our physical bodies. We're not moving our minds in new directions. We're not moving our hearts in new directions. So we start with movement. The A in the Man Plan is artistic expression. And that doesn't mean that you're making art to hang in the Louvre. It means that you're really activating your creativity and expressing yourself, whether it's journaling or singing or drumming or dancing or making a piece of art or finger painting with mud. It doesn't matter. Some kind of movement in the creative area is essential to get things flowing and going. And then time in nature. And so I think the Man Plan can be used by women as well as by men. And it is something that I have found that allows men to relax when I encourage them to move, when I work with them to express themselves artistically, and when I work with them to spend time in nature and really get connected with their own true nature, then they naturally want to deliver their best self.
Wow. Can we talk for a second about how women live in male energy now in our modern time? Can we kind of go there for a sec? What do you want to tell us about that?
Totally. Yeah. I spent the first decade of my business online working with women, and I would say that the vast majority of the women that I worked with were what I would call highly masculinized women, and I was one of those as well. So we were acculturated. There's certainly a whole generation of women who were acculturated and expected to and programmed to behave more like men. And, you know, I don't know, this is for women of a certain age, but there was a perfume commercial in the 70s, and it was for Angeli perfume. And I still remember the jingle was, you can bring home the bacon, fry it up in the pan, and never let him forget he's a man. And so there was this huge expectation that was put on women to be both. Mm. And as a result, it has created this huge disharmony between the masculine and the feminine, because men don't know how to show up with a woman who's in her masculine. When a woman is running her masculine energy, she's a buddy. She's not a babe who he's going to want to, you know, lay down and serve, right?
Right, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So, and this is again one of the reasons that men, when you open yourself energetically, you could say, or you just create a safe space, men come running in to have fun because you're all about let's be here and see what happens next. That's a totally different and sort of a disarmed energy, basically, right?
Oh, very much so. When you are in the space of being armed, when you are in fight or flight mode, your whole being is is on alert. And you cannot be relaxed when you're on alert. You can't.
And nobody can have fun, right?
And nobody can have fun. Nobody can have fun. Not only can nobody have fun, but the men, it puts them on alert as well. So nobody's present, and you're acting from either a perceived threat of what might happen in the future, or you're reacting based on experiences that you've had in the past. And so you're not even there.
Wow.
You're not even there. If you're not there, then you cannot actually fully meet the other person, and they can't meet you.
Wow. So you've got 30 seconds to tell us something we've been waiting all our lives to hear. What would you like to share, my dear?
Oh, my goodness. Your capacity to be in a great relationship with a man is in your hands.
Wow. And you've shared a lot of great ways to do that. I think this is a profoundly interesting conversation. I want to know everything there is to know about being present in the way that Emerald is suggesting. I love her concept about de-escalating, being present, not being in that male energy with men, giving them somewhere to go besides combative, right?
Absolutely. Let's go cuddle. Let's go cuddle instead of combating.
Let's have some fun. Let's see what your powers are. Let's see what my strengths are. Let's win together, right?
Exactly.
Wow. Well, thank you for being on Eureka Emerald. Emerald's website again is www.emeraldgreenforest.com. So guests and listeners, do you want to know how to turn your own tragedies into triumphs? Tune in often and find out how. Would you like to strengthen relationships, expand your abundance and money, improve your health, or even become more beautiful than you used to be? I'm Glenda Shankal, your host for Eureka, How a Woman Can Thrive at Any Age, which can be heard every weekday at various hours right on xzbn.net radio and lovecomseasily.com.
You have heard of the X Zone? Now watch it on Simul TV, plus 500 video games, live TV channels, free video on demand, worldwide, and more. Does this sound like tomorrow's television? Well, it is, but you can have it today, right now. It is Simul TV. Simul TV offers what the others only wish they could provide. 15 exclusive channels like X Zone, sci-fi, and horror. We are worldwide. No other provider offers that. 500 built-in video games. No need to have an extra expensive system. We have them included. Free video on demand. Live streaming events from around the world. Interactive online network, and much more. Tomorrow's TV today. Simul TV. Sound too good to be true? Well, it's not. You can have Simul TV today. Sign up at simultv.com. Do it today.
The new nonfiction book, Razor of Madness, is similar to cult movies like Clockwork Orange, Dragon's Tattoo, or The Other Side of Hell. Wayne Morin Jr. and Thomas Lee Howe will expose widespread and systematic deficiencies in this thought-provoking tell-all novel. Mind control rages among scholars in law schools. Human rights are ignored while thought reform and mental manipulation are accepted practices used as behavior modification. Dr. Louis Jolyon West comes to mind. Media and public scrutiny shows that United States mental hospitals are in fact destructive murder industries. Razor of Madness expose novel details this epidemic through an in-depth professional and personal investigation. For decades, there has been a revolving door policy that still releases killers and pedophiles back into society. The maestro of mind control continues to haunt America to this very day. Razor of Madness is available in paperback or as a downloadable ebook at Amazon.com.
I'm William S. Peckham. If you enjoy a good mystery with a touch of the paranormal, then you'll love my novel, From Out of the Woodwork. It's the story of a young Toronto contractor, Sean Kennedy, who buys derelict homes, guts them, and turns them into multi-family dwellings. Slums just waiting to happen. When Sean buys 29 Livery Lane, the house fights back. Former owners unexpectedly come out of the woodwork as he starts the destruction. The apparitions come to him when he touches old books, reads hidden letters, rummages through old boxes, finds a locket, or reads a discovered manuscript of a murder mystery. From Out of the Woodwork will take you from 1899 to the horror of the World Trade Center, September 11, 2001. Check out From Out of the Woodwork on my website, www.williamspeckham.com.
Okay, so thanks for joining us. Welcome back. I'm Glenda Shankal, and you're listening to Eureka, How a Woman Can Thrive at Any Age. Our guest is Emerald Peaceful Greenforest, whose website is www.emeraldgreenforest.com. Emerald, my dear, so let's talk about dating for a second. Can you talk to us about successful ways to date to move toward a different kind of relationship with men?
Great question. So I think, goes back to you needing as a woman to start with the process of creating change for yourself. And so I have actually three more steps that I'm going to give you so that you can actually have what I like to call a rite of passage or a death ceremony. So what we do is we carry all of this baggage with us into whatever the next relationship is, and then we repeat those patterns over and over again unless we consciously choose to create a different experience for ourselves. So whether it's dating or marriage or business partnerships or whatever it is that we're talking about in relationship with other people, we need to stop the old patterns before starting in the direction of a new relationship. So we need to make a sacred act. And I like to call them acts of beauty or acts of change or sacred acts, whatever you'd like to use for a phrase there. And here's how we make our act. And it's 3 letters, ACT. So the first act is to acknowledge that things aren't working the way we would like them to work, and that to acknowledge that we want to create conscious change. We want to do something different in our life. The second letter is C, which is conscious ceremony. I'm a huge believer in ceremony, and I'll tell you the only way that I'm actually on this conversation with you, Glenda, is because the day that whole experience happened with my son, I had spent the entire day in ceremony. And as a result of being in ceremony that whole day, where I was consciously choosing to uproot myself from the abuse dynamic, I was able to exit out of that experience in one piece. And so was he. We both ended up having a huge rite of passage. And he's now well, and I'm well, and all is well. So having conscious ceremony is very, very important because it signals to your soul and to the universe and to your psyche, this is ending and I'm opening the door for a new beginning. And then the T is give yourself time to process. After you've gone through this process of having a ceremony and making the decision that you want to create a new reality for yourself, give yourself time and be patient with the process. And then go out and look at dating.
Right. Don't rush in, because that's why people have an axe to grind. They remember, oh, my ex-boyfriend did this and you're doing it and everything's going wrong again. So they haven't cleared enough yet. And that's why that's happening, right?
Exactly. Mm-hmm. You're better off not dating if you haven't done the work to come to the new relationship with a fresh canvas. like a completely blank screen, a empty book with no preconceived notions, no judgments, and or with knowing yourself well enough to know that if you do get triggered, that it's not about him, it's about you. And it's your job to take yourself into a timeout, to do your work to clear that. And then when you've cleared whatever it is that you need to clear, you show back up in the relationship, and either he's going to change or you're not going to tolerate it anymore. One of the two. Like he will either naturally attune to who you have become, and you'll grow together, or you'll grow apart. And being okay with that is important, I think. I think it's important to be okay with sometimes we're going to grow together, sometimes we're going to grow apart, and it's okay either way.
Well, one of the great things about the modern age is we get to reinvent ourselves as many times as we would like to before we settle into a final partnership. I think that's one of the great opportunities. Before, we were trapped in relationship in our teens. Women were trapped in marriage when they were 13, 14, 15, 16, depending on the culture. So now we don't have to do it that way, and we can move through processes quickly and easily. And I think it's helpful to not fault ourselves or others, right, when we're stuck in an old pattern that needs to shift. So what are some easy ways to do this ritual kind of thing? I tell people to make a list and then take it outside and burn it. What do you recommend?
Well, there's lots of different ways. I mean, you can do burning ceremony, you can do earth-based ceremony, you can go to the water. I would say for this particular question around dating and relationship, Glenda, what I would suggest is that you do a role release. So like you said, women used to be put into a specific role. They'd be married at 13 or whatever, and the roles that we have taken on for ourselves, whether it's daughter or wife or mother or sister or employee or whatever, all of those roles are not who we are. So in order to come into a new relationship, we want to get down to the essence of who we are, which is really love incarnated. Right? And if you're down to the essence of who you are, without a name, without a role, without history, without story, without judgment attached to any of it, then the natural response to your essence is going to be the essence of greatness in whoever comes into your field.
Wow. Isn't that fabulous? Do you realize how great what you just said sounds? That's incredible. I love it.
And so it's true.
Yeah. So getting back to the basics and always moving toward the clearing to be present, right? Always stripping away the stories. It seems like no matter how many stories I strip away, every story I strip away frees me and lets me have more fun, be more present, enjoy more, be more powerful. Right? Is this what we do? What do you recommend more?
Well, totally. And I think the important thing, too, is where are you focusing? So for me, I was focusing for years on, oh, my God, here's another abusive man. Oh, my God, here's another abusive man. Oh, my God, here's another abusive man. How am I going to fix this? Including my own child, right? Who as a child was absolutely a complete delight. And was an amazing, amazing, amazing young person. But as soon as he hit puberty, things went sideways because he was coming into manhood and I was seeing with my vision all kinds of potential problems instead of seeing the greatness in him. So that was one of the reasons why I started the Men on Purpose podcast. And so women, if you're out there and you need to just hear some really amazing men, go listen to the Men on Purpose podcast to attune yourself to greatness. And as soon as I started to shift my perception and my focus and what I was looking at and what I was looking for, then miraculously, of course, I began to be surrounded by an abundance of men on purpose. And the entire process for me of doing the Men on Purpose podcast has been incredibly healing because I changed my focus, my perception. My desire was to become complete with being in abusive environments with men, and to be complete with being around men who had addiction issues, and to be complete with being alienated from men. And so it was my job to do the work of saying, okay, I'm going to look for the men that I want to see. And it comes right back to what we've been saying since the beginning. Know what it is you want.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've had the same cycle in my own personal life with men and difficult men, and moving all the way to, hey guys, what's your best? What's my best? Let's have a good time. And I find that I now draw in men of all kinds that are like that everywhere I go, in business, personal life, strangers in the shopping mall, strangers in the supermarket, everywhere I go, I find marvelous men. And I think they're the same men. I think really the change might be me. It's possible.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
So,
they're going to show up to meet your expression of your best self. And if you choose to be your best self, it's a natural, universal law that they must show up to be their best self.
Because they don't have an entry point. If you're in your state of grace, they can't show up as a nasty, mean, controlling, frustrating kind of a guy, right?
Not if you're in your state of grace. Your state of grace is so this is where we need to disarm, because when we're armed, we're not in our state of grace. Right.
Okay, last words of wisdom, my dear, that you would like to share?
Oh, let's take a nice breath with one another. So, yeah, that would be my words of wisdom. The best way I have found to immediately disarm is to take a breath through the nose, in through the nose, out through the mouth. And the ah sound, the sound of ah, which is the sound of the heart, actually indicates and signals to your body to relax. So let's just relax, ladies, and let's invite magnificent men to show up in our lives, because we recognize our own magnificence.
And on that magnificent note, my dear friend, I'm going to invite people to join Eureka again in the future, How a Woman Can Thrive at Any Age, heard every weekday at various hours, right here on xzbn.net radio, and found on lovedomseasily.com.
Modern Esoteric, Beyond Our Senses by Brad Olson, consummates the lifeology story about where humanity originates. It is the lost continents, the primitive wisdom, the mythos of creation, and the rethinking of ancient history as we are taught in academia. There is much more to the story than what we have been told. As this is the first book in the Esoteric series, Modern Esoteric starts at the beginning of time and accelerates up to this modern age. Future Esoteric is book 2 in the series and takes a forward-looking position ahead of today with an open and honest examination of the ET issue and various unexplained phenomena. To discover the writings of author Brad Olson, visit www.bradolson.com. That's www.bradolson.com. Are you, or is someone you know, struggling with addictions, depression, anxiety, relationships, low self-esteem, lack of confidence, grief, success, and prosperity? Do you know that your subconscious belief plays a big role in the outcome of your hard work? We can help you permanently change the beliefs that may be the reason for your struggles and failures. We care about getting you the return on your investment and the results you are looking for. We can help you be free of the limitations of your past and in realizing your highest potential. We work with people by phone and Skype. For more information, visit us at www.ritasoman.com. That's www.ritasoman.com. Do you think you have energy problems in your home? Do you feel better when you're away than when you're home? Joey Korn is a global leader in the world of dowsing who specializes in personal energy clearing and space clearing. He can help you create an ideal energy environment in your home no matter where you live in the world. Learn about his remote spiritual house cleaning services and much more at www.dowsers.com. You can get Joey's book, Dowsing, A Path to Enlightenment, as well as other dowsing books and tools, Kabbalah books, and Walter Russell books. Joey's work is really amazing. Go to dowsers.com right now. That's DOWSERS.com or call 1-877-DOWSING. That's 1-877-369-7464.